here. This is Fabulous Foods with Victoria Fabbo. I'm really excited we're here today. Today we're going to have an open conversation about healthy recipes and what it means to eat on your plate. Otherwise may be known as my plate. So today we're going to talk about a PowerPoint, going to go over some recipes. Okay, so what's on your plate for breakfast? What are you having? Let's go to the next slide and see. What are some recommendations for us for fruit, right? Part of my plate, we have five food components. Our first one we're going to talk about is fruit. So how much fruit do we think each person should have? Here you'll see a chart, and it will go through toddlers, children, girls and boys, and women and men, how much they should be having per serving per day, okay? So a serving size is 1 cup of fruit, a half a cup of dried fruit, and 1 cup of 100% fruit juice. So something I like to bring up is, why do you think there's a difference between fresh fruit and dried fruit, right? So with fresh fruit, it's great, it's whole, we can eat it whole, that counts as a whole fruit serving. Dried fruit, right, it needs to be rehydrated. Or what we can talk about is that the dried fruit, we only want a half a cup, because if you've ever eaten dried apricots, right, you could probably eat 4 dried apricots. But if you remember, you're actually eating 4 whole fresh ones, right? So what that means is to remind yourself of how much quantity you're having at one time. A little bit of a reference is with the 1 cup of 100% fruit juice, I always like to think about, would you ever eat 3 apples, right? So a lot of people would say, no, I wouldn't eat 3 apples in one day, right? So then why would you have 3 cups of apple juice in one day, right? And why do I say that? I say that because of sugar content, and as we continue to age and as we give children, we're introducing them fluids to their diets, we always might give them juice. But we might want to stop, think about what we're actually giving the child, right? Or what we might be giving our older adult parent or something, right? Who doesn't want sweetness in their life? But what we want to think about is, what is their serving size and what is their daily recommendation allowance, okay? So things to keep in the back of our head is, are we getting all of these servings in a day? And a great point for fruit is fiber, right? So we want fiber and the micronutrients within the fruit for our diet. So the fiber will help keep us not being constipated, right? That's something that as a dietitian I'm always wondering and thinking about for other people, and to keep them hydrated too. With breakfast, we have our fruit, and we also want to think about dairy option too, because that can be a nice time during the day to get in your dairy option. So a dairy size is 1 cup of milk, yogurt or soy, right? And 1.5 ounces of natural cheese, okay? So you might have noticed within the dairy choices, it's milk, yogurt, or soy. So no almond milk, oat milk, or cashew milk is noted there, right? Why do we might think that? So a couple of things. Almond milk only has about 2 grams of protein, where cow's milk has 8 grams of protein, okay? That's a really big difference, especially when you're making a smoothie or you're drinking it just by itself, right? You're not getting the same protein content, and the calcium and vitamin D quantities may be different too. Really important too is when you're making your purchase for yogurt or milk, you want to see what vitamin D level and calcium level is there, okay? If there's no vitamin D in when you're looking at the back of the nutrition label, if there's no vitamin D but there's calcium, well, your body might not be able to absorb the calcium, right? We really need vitamin D in our diet in order to absorb calcium, okay? So when you're looking at the back of the package, pay attention to that. Another fun thing I like to think about is, I love chocolate milk. It's kind of the only way I really enjoy drinking milk, or if it's hot chocolate or warmed up milk, it's a great time. But what I have to pay attention to is the chocolate milk, and on the back of the nutrition label, what's the sugar content? What's the added sugars to that yogurt or to that chocolate milk? So I'll go to the grocery store and I'll turn around 4 different chocolate milk bottles, and I'll compare the amount of sugar, right? Because if there's something that's 20 grams of added sugar and something that's 10 grams of added sugar, right? That's how you can make your judgment to what's the better choice, right? It may not necessarily be the best choice, but if we can make a better choice, right? So those are some things we want to think about. Especially when we're getting our yogurt, it's really nice that they have the added fruit to our yogurt sometimes when you go to the grocery store. The bad part is that though it may taste really yummy, the sugar content may be very, very high. You'll look at a back of like a small yogurt package, and they'll actually add 20 grams of added sugar on the nutrition label, right? So that's where I recommend you not to get that yogurt at all and keep it there on the shelf. But maybe you can get whole fat or 0% fat plain yogurt, and then that's where you can add your own fruit in. And you can add maybe some honey in, granola, so you can make it your special self for a breakfast. We'll talk about that in the next slide. So here's the recommendations for daily allowance for dairy, so 3 cups, and how we can get that in our diet. Let's go to the next slide so we can talk about breakfast. All right, so a yummy parfait for breakfast, right? We have our plain yogurt. We're making it sweet by adding our fruits, whatever kind we want, strawberries, blueberries, bananas, you name it. What I like to do is I actually like to heat up my fruit and make a compote. So I'll get frozen berries and I'll put them on the stove. I'll let them heat up. Keep them on as long as you want, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then it's called a compote at that point. C-O-M-P-O-T-E, right? So we have a fruit compote. You can cool it down and you can add that to your yogurt, and then there's your fruit yogurt, right? You can add granola to make it crunchy. You can actually add walnuts, pistachios for additional protein. What I do for walnuts and pistachios, I actually will bang them, and I will make them ground up pretty much, essentially, and I will just sprinkle that on into each layer, just so I get the taste of the nut, but I don't have necessarily the texture. Because when I'm eating a parfait, I want it to be like smooth consistency for the most part, but some people might like it a little crunchier or chunkier. So you choose whatever you want. Things to think about when you're sweetening it. I do like to do maple syrup, honey, or agave. I don't necessarily want to do white sugar or brown sugar, just for a morning routine, right? Something I just don't want to get in the habit of doing. But if you want to sweeten a little bit with honey or maple syrup, feel free. Then on the bottom, you'll also see a little recipe guide that you can go by. So pick whatever choice you'd like, and then these are just some quantities you want to do. And make it fun, right? Always get the kids involved at their age level. See what they can do to help you in the morning, right? We're really busy all the time as any adult, right? And so any helping hands is really beneficial. All right, so we've talked about breakfast. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so one other recipe you can think about for breakfast is a banana oatmeal pancake, okay? So why is this one a healthier choice? So we're adding fiber in it. We're adding fiber by adding whole wheat flour and oats. Those are 2 whole grain components that we can add, and that gives us more fiber content, which is always great. We're also going to add bananas in. You can slice up the bananas thin, or you might want to mash them up and fold it into the batter so it's evenly distributed. Depends on how you want it. Some people might want slices, some might want to add it smoothly, so that's your choice. Adding an egg and milk and whatever other fruits you might want in order for the batter to be to your desire. And then here's just a little bit of instructions. A fun little thing to always remember when you're making pancakes is that the pancake, when you pour it, you want to make sure that little bubbles are forming or popping up onto the pancake before you flip it, okay? And before you flip it, if you want to add any fruit at that time, go ahead and add your fruit, add a little bit more batter, and then flip it. Unless you want your fruit to be a little bit caramelized, you can say, then don't add the batter, but it's up to you. All right. We talked about breakfast. Let's keep going. All right, snack time. If anybody knows me, they know I'm a snacker. I'm a huge grazer throughout the day. So let's go into snacking and some options. All right, so here's a few different options you can do for yourself. And this is really nice if you can get the kids involved. I kind of like to think of it as an Iron Chef challenge, right? Because if you're making different bars or whatever, let's talk about it. So we're gonna make roasted chickpeas. So this one's nice and easy. You get the can of chickpeas, you rinse them thoroughly, right? Any canned products we rinse thoroughly so that we remove any additional salt and sodium. With that said, the roasted chickpeas, I actually like to add pizza seasoning to it. Another version I might do is paprika. Another version could be like everything bagel seasoning. And so I sprinkle that seasoning on the chickpeas. I add olive oil. I rub it around good to make sure they're covered in the seasoning well. And I put them in the oven for 40 minutes at 400 degrees. And some people might like them crispy like a chip. Some people might like them a little softer. So play around with it and see what you'd like. But it's a great protein addition, right? We're eating some chickpeas, and they're kind of like a chip. Okay, what else you could do is a quinoa energy bar. So go ahead and cook the quinoa. And if anybody has an Instapot, I'm actually a newcomer to these Instapot. I'm teaching at Mac College, and I needed an Instapot for the day. So I bought one, and I cooked with it, and it's fabulous. It makes everything under an hour, and I was really happy by that. Anyways, so get your Instapot, add the quinoa, water, done. What you can do then is you can add dates, coconut oil, almond butter. You can add protein powder if you like. If not, keep it to the side. Vanilla extract, coconut flakes, chia seeds. Chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. If you can get these seeds, they're additional fiber and micronutrients and protein, okay? So, and iron with the micronutrients essentially. We add those to this recipe. We ground it up in the food processor, right? So that it all becomes one consistency. We can spread it out thin, right? And then we've made our own breakfast bar. So for this is really nice because you can get the kids involved. They can help measure out the ingredients. They can spread the dough out so it's nice and flat. And then they are more excited to try the snack, right? If their hands are touching the food, they're more likely to eat it. So another dish they could do is cucumber, pepper, avocado salad. And I was recently talking to someone, and they said, my kids don't like the word salad. I said, okay, so let's call it cucumber, pepper, avocado delight or something, right? Just come up with a different word if your kids don't like the word salad, but introduce all those different vegetables to them, right? Maybe you can add a jalapeno and see how they taste with the spice. Add an onion and tomato. Mix that all together, and then you have a great vegetable medley, right? Okay. Another thing that kids could get involved with is a creamy peanut butter, honey oats, walnuts, craisin bar, right? Again, just mix that all together in a food processor or by hand. Spread it out thin, let it cool in the fridge, and then it's done. It's really nice and easy. And you'll notice some of these recipes use the same ingredients, which for me is always much easier at the grocery store, right? So something to think about too. How can I utilize all my ingredients on different recipes? And that's where the Iron Chef comes in with the kids, right? They can decide, okay, today I'm gonna be creative and add this. So let them choose what they wanna do. Okay, snacks are good. Let's move on to the next. All right, lunchtime, right? What are we gonna be having for lunch? Let's talk about it. So protein is something we always wanna be thinking about for throughout our day, right? So here's a daily recommendation. These charts for the daily recommendations are actually my plate. Government website, the government designed this. So we used to have food pyramid, now it's my plate. So these are recommendations that are used, okay? So use that guideline to help you plan your meals for your family. For protein, it's really great. 1 ounce of meat, we got a half a cup of brown beans. Cooked beans is a recipe, right? That counts as a daily protein recommendation. Just 1 egg, a tablespoon of peanut butter, half an ounce of nuts or seeds, and a half an ounce of tofu. And I really think that's great to have these recommendations in our head so that we know how much of a portion we want, right? That's the greatest part. So we think, okay, well, I had a half an ounce of nuts for snack time, and now for my lunch, I'm gonna have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? So now you know you've had 3 servings. And then if yours is women's 5 to 6 ounces, then you know you have 2.5 done, and then maybe you can save the rest for dinner, right? Or you might have a snack later with cooked beans. Up to you, the variety is the best part. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so vegetables. I really want to change the perspective on vegetables because vegetables can be so yummy. It just depends on how we prepare them, right? So 1 cup of raw or cooked vegetable or vegetable juice counts, or 2 cups of raw leafy salad greens, okay? Those are serving sizes. So again, I'm going to stick with women. 2 to 3 cups is a serving size for women. Again, with the vegetables, it's great fiber and micronutrients, right, that we need. Vitamin K, vitamin A, right? We need all these different micronutrients in order for our bone growth, for our cell growth to be as best as it can, right? Because that's what we're doing when we're eating. We're eating for our body to be sustained and for it to be the best it can be. So, protein, vegetable, let's go on. So, we got our vegetable. We can add any vegetable we want to quinoa, right? And again, we're going to make a quinoa salad. I think it's just easy. You make a huge pot of it in the Instapot, and you can cool it, and you can have whatever variety you want. So quinoa, if you want to add cucumber, peppers, onions, right? Add some lemon juice to it. Add cranberries, you can do that. That's one salad. If you want to add avocados to it, lemon zest, ginger zest, right? You can make the flavor whatever way you want, and I think that's the best part about quinoa. It's so versatile, and you can do whatever you want. So, quinoa salad is a great lunch option because you get protein and you can add any vegetables you want. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Another option for protein is lentils. Something I feel like isn't used too much in everyone's diet. I know at my house we're slowly introducing it back in, and really I think it's because of the Instapot. It cooks it so quickly. You can use a crock pot too. It just takes a little bit longer, but hey, if you have the time, use it, right? So I think of a lentil carrot sweet potato soup, especially as the winter's coming. Soup is my love, right? So we got lentils, we can do sweet potatoes, carrots, right? And the fun flavors you can add to it could be cumin, ginger, cilantro, onion, garlic, right? The more garlic, the better in my life. You can even add shallots. Make it fun, make it flavorful. Even you could add cayenne pepper. Think of the soups you might want for lunch and make it in the Instapot the night before, and then you have lunch for the next day. All right, let's go to the next one. So for dinner, what are we gonna have for dinner? Let's talk about it. Okay. A simple Italian classic that I like to do that's easy enough is you get your chicken, you can get some potatoes, some asparagus, and you just add some olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, parsley, rosemary, and you just sprinkle it all over, mix it all together, and pop it in the oven. I think that's the best. When they all can be the same one seasoning, just add olive oil, pop it in the oven, walk away. I think that's a great day. Just remember always to cook your chicken at 165. So if you can get a thermometer to insert your meat and to clean it after each use, it's really beneficial so you make sure that nobody gets any foodborne illness. Just something in good practice. Last but not least, for our 5 food groups is our daily grain recommendation. Again, you'll see the chart. So we actually have whole grains and we actually have grains. So whole grains would be whole wheat flour, and just a regular grain would be all-purpose flour, right? So that's something that we want to keep in consideration because we actually want half of our grains whole wheat. So we could do whole wheat pasta, we could do brown rice, we can do quinoa, right? Those are really great whole grains. Say you're making a sandwich and you have 6 to 8 servings. A sandwich is actually 2 servings, so you want to make sure that that bread is whole grain. So what you want to do is you want to look at the back of the nutrition label and make sure that one slice is 3 grams of fiber or more. That's how you know you're getting the best choice for bread, in my opinion. Okay, you can get 1 cup of ready-to-eat cereal or a half a cup of cooked rice or pasta. That's really important. A half a cup cooked rice or pasta. A lot of people want a full cup, okay? And that really may depend on their diet, and not just their diet, but it also might depend on what portion of the day it is, right? So for breakfast, maybe we're gonna have a cup of oatmeal. At lunch, we're gonna have a cup of rice. And at dinner time, we're gonna have a cup of pasta, right? So are we spreading it out evenly? Are we making sure we're meeting all of our basic recommendations? And then we want to make sure that we're not getting too much, right? So this is how we got to keep track of our portion control. We can have our 1 cup for each, but then we want to remember it's only meant to be a half a cup, right? So then in reality, for breakfast with your oatmeal of 1 cup, you're having 2 servings. Lunch with your rice, you're having, again, 2 servings. And our dinner time with your pasta, you're having 2 servings. So that's 6. So if you're supposed to have 6 to 8, you just want to make sure that when you're snacking, you're not going overboard. Or late at night, when we want to snack again, we just want to make sure that we're snacking on the right things. So these are just a few things that we want to keep in mind when we're doing our plate, right? So just a few little thoughts. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining me on my plate in this Happy New Year. I really hope that you and your family can come up with some fun recipes and stick with the recommendations that are provided. And always remember, enjoy it. Have fun with the process. If you're not smiling, then no one else is, right? So always smile and make sure the food is tasting yummy. And if you guys have any questions about portion control or food sizes or where to grab some food, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd really great to ask me any questions so I can tell you the next time. Thanks for having me, and thank you for watching Fabulous Foods with Victoria Fabbo.